Around 100,000 years ago, dates vary, ancient humans moved out of Africa and into the Middle East and Europe. But another group of hominids called the Neanderthal were already there. They wanted to be where the people were. And now we're forever part of their world, so to speak. We sexed them up. Today, we live with a mix of the DNA of every one of our ancestors. Luckily for us, both the human and Neanderthal genome have been sequenced. This means we can look at the full breadth of our DNAs and find places where things match up. For many of us, that includes a few hundred Neanderthal bits as well. For example, I have 301 Neanderthal markers in my genome. They say that's more than most, which sounds great. So many of us have a little genetics from the Valley of Neander, which plants a question in a lot of people's minds. Did putting some Neander cream in our Homo sapien coffee make things better or worse? In 2016, the first study to try and discover what genetics the Neanderthal added found some shocking results. And I want to say first, a lot of this research sort of feels icky. Ew, we mixed the races and blah, 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 but that's not the case here. According to their research, Neander genes influence the skin, the immune system, depression, addiction, and metabolism, among other things. They compared the genes and electronic health records of thousands of people and found that those with certain genetics that were related to Neanderthals also had higher incidences of things like addiction to nicotine and thus tobacco use. Another mutation from the Neanderthals gave ancient humans hypercoagulability of the blood, which the researchers said was an advantage at the time, but today increases risks of clots in the bloodstream. A separate set of research found Neanderthal DNA may have helped our skin toughen, as the genes influenced keratin production, the stuff that makes fingernails and hair stronger. And still others have identified Neander genes that decrease risks of schizophrenia and more that help the immune system detect fungi and organism invaders. There's even a study stating that Tibetans can tolerate lower oxygen levels in part because of a gene EPAS1, which came from mixing with Denisovans, which are a separate ancient group related to the Neanderthal. But it's not all positive. Neanderthal DNA also brought some negatives with it, like marrying into a new family, you get both good and bad. Neanderthal DNA has been implicated in connection to lupus, type 2 diabetes, malnutrition, heightened allergies, I mentioned addiction, and so on, which is bad. But taken as a whole, all of this is pretty incredible insight. A new study took that Neanderthal mixing a step further, and I have to say this skeeves me out a bit. They're claiming an influx of Neanderthal DNA could have changed the shape of the skull and thus the brain. To test their hypothesis, they created a system to compare how much Neanderthal genetics a group of people had, giving those participants a Neander score. Their research pointed to two areas of the brain that were altered after mixing with Neanderthals: the visual cortex, which you know, and also the IPS, which is associated with grasping and coordinating body movements. It's part of the reason that we can use tools. The thing is, after that, it gets a little shaky, as they're making assumptions about evolution based on their hypotheses. In the end, obviously, more research is very much needed. Genes are very important for some traits, but they're not 100% predictors. For example, even if you have a gene that puts you at a high risk for cancer, it's not a guarantee that you'll get it. Just like with any progeny, mixing genetics is a risk. As ancient humans mixed their genes with these ancient groups, our evolutionary paths became intertwined forever. As we learn more about the volumes of information hidden in our DNA, I, for one, look forward to expanding my family reunions to include even more of my Neander Valley cousins. After the reunion, we could also start a website, share pictures, but we'd need a URL from domain.com. When you buy a domain name from domain.com, you're taking the first steps in creating an identity and vision for your brand. No domain extension will help you tell your story like a .com or .net domain name. Get 20% off domain.com's already affordable domain names and web hosting when you use the coupon code SEEKER at checkout. If you're wondering just how DTF our ancient ancestors were, you should watch Natalia explain it right here. How do you feel about being part Neanderthal? Let us know in the comments. Please subscribe for more Seeker, and thanks for watching.